Celtic fans' view this morning. I thought it would be easier to go live. There's going to be quite a number of live videos today, and there's going to be quite a number of live videos. We will be up at the Albatera. I keep on going to say Albacete. We'll be up at the Albatera Celtic Supporters Club today. We will be going live before the game from Albatera Celtic Supporters Club, and then at half time and at full time we will go live from probably one of the most remote Celtic supporters pubs in Europe. It has to be one of the most remote Celtic supporters pubs in Europe, I have to say. Right, who's all online? There's only a couple of folk online. There's 10 people watching at the moment. Oh, it's just jumped up to 19. Good morning to everyone. Right, let's get into the Celtic news. Adam Idah has been backed by Brendan Rodgers and been backed by a lot of people to reach his potential at Celtic. When you look at Brendan Rodgers, and I'm going to ask the question, does Brendan Rodgers still have it in his repertoire to improve players? Because let's face it, this season, a lot of players under Brendan Rodgers have went backwards. But when you look at Brendan Rodgers previous, Scotty St. Clair come into Celtic and done absolutely fantastic stuff. Luis Suarez, Liverpool, went on to great heights, we shall say. Lee Griffiths was a fantastic player at Celtic and developed well under Brendan Rodgers. Mr. Dumbelly, goal scoring machine. Odson Edward, another one. Can he do the same to Adam Idah? And let's face it, it seems to have done. I mean, we're going to talk about Kyogo in a minute, but can Brendan Rodgers change him as a player and make him better as a player? It's been widely suggested that he can, but we'll have to wait until the end of the season. And will the three people in the thumbnail for this video, will they be the new three amigos? Will they be the new three amigos? Well, one's from Ireland. Can you call them amigos from Ireland? Not really, can you? Anyway, let's get some good mornings into people on the channel. Norman is in Benidorm. I'm going to be at a Celtic Supporters Club. Probably about 40, no, not even that. Probably about half an hour's drive for you, mate. And it's in the middle of the hills. It's weird. It's probably the most remote Celtic supporters bar in Europe. But we're going to come live from there. Morning from Tenerife, says Richard. Hail, says Tam Mac. Oh boy says, come on boys, we need a performance today. We do that. Stephen says, morning troops. Hail from Germany is in the house also. Hail, my fellow Celts, says Michael Ross. Morning to you, Michael. How are you this morning? And no YouTube, I don't want to put in adverts. Peter says, good morning, hail, keep the faith, boys. Robert says, the Huns have been handed the treble. Well, wait to start today. He's only improved a couple of players, but most of them, the team were far better under Ange. Grenville says, morning, Baz. Not easy game today, but hopefully 2-0 Celtic. Mike Rose said, the only player that seems to have improved under Rodgers is Matt O'Reilly. It's an interesting one from that, because let's face it, Michael, Matt O'Reilly would have been out the door in the summer. Matt O'Reilly would have been out the door last summer, and we would have got nowhere near 15 to 20 million for him. Not a chance. Not last year. So the question is, can Brendan Rodgers turn a player and his career around? Does he still have that in his repertoire? And I think he does. But anyway, let's get back to some of the comments before we get on with the Celtic news. Graham Hardy says, one of us, hail troops. Thomas says, he will make the players better. Celtic will go on a run now, says Thomas. I think so, and I hope so. I definitely hope so. Right. The fact that he has been back to turn Adam Idah, who is only 22, you have to think about the average age of this team is a lot lower than his first time around, but he is on loan from Norwich, and it's been suggested that Celtic and Brendan Rodgers can turn him into a better player. But it has come with a warning from Brendan Rodgers. It has come with a warning. Although your first game at Celtic, it's all good getting the pats on the back, you're only one game away from getting a boot up the back end. And that can happen pretty quick at Celtic. You know, scoring 2 goals, scoring 2 penalties is all good and fine. But then if you go into the next 2 games and you miss 10 sitters, you know, you could come back down to earth with a bump. So I think he's been given a bit of a warning by Brendan Rodgers on the Friday morning. It's fair play to say that Adam is excited being at Celtic. that Brendan Rodgers excited to have him with him. Rodgers said ahead of today's game, he says, "I seen him play in the Premier League with Norwich, and I saw him as a young player, as a player with real potential. Being Irish, obviously that really caught my eye as well. It hasn't quite worked out for him yet as a player, but with the physicality and speed and technique that Adam has, it excites me as a manager." On Wednesday, you saw how he took these penalties and with authority and composure, And then he says what excites me. He's got all the tools in the box to be a top player, and it's about how we try and help him and his mentality to get to be that top player. People will ask me, how far can he go? Well, he has the talent to go to the very highest level, but it's about what he does with it. One player that you can think about that is Lee Griffiths. Lee Griffiths had all the potential to be a top player. He was a top player. But then there's things that go on in people's personal lives that maybe hinder them. Can Adam Idah be a top player for Celtic? From his early days, Rodgers says that he's always had a thing for picking out talent. He says he saw Scotty St. Clair at Stamford Bridge Academy, and he manages to get him and made him into the player he was. Anyway, will Kyogo even get a shot today? Will Kyogo start? What will be the team today? What will be your predicted team? I haven't even really thought about the team because I think Brendan Rodgers could change it. Although Joe Hart will continue in goals. Joe Hart is a bit like an angel on one side and the devil on the other. He definitely has that about him as a player. He can when a corner comes in, he could flap it across, and you're thinking, my God, Joe Hart, what are you doing? When he goes to play these short balls out, and he almost buggers it up, you're thinking, fuck me, Joe Hart, really, what are you doing? And then 2 minutes later, he'll pull off the frigging save of the season, and that is what you get with Joe Hart. And we do like giving Joe Hart a bit of stick, and as Celtic fans, we think we need a keeper, we need a better keeper. But Joe Hart, you have to say, oh my goodness, he definitely has it of as a player. He's got the angel of God on one side, and he's got the devil on the other, and it's just depends on which one he talks to just before a ball comes in. I think two up front. Lol, yeah, let's get back to some of the comments. Can we please just move the ball quicker to the wingers and hit the byline? Like Ross says, we have to go on a run or they will win the league. Something today says time these boys earned their wages and honoured their contracts. How the mighty Kyogo has disappeared. Yes, we're going to talk about Kyogo in a minute, but we're going to keep on talking about the team. Taylor. Taylor is close to a return. Will Taylor be brought back in today? Will Bernaby play today? Will Anthony Ralston take his place? And will Anthony Ralston keep his place on the pitch? Stephen Welsh has shaken off the midweek injuries, but Rocky and Liam Scales might get their chance to develop that partnership. And in the midfield, it's going to be the player that has not hit the best of form this season, but is your captain. And when he pulls the strings, he pulls the strings quite well. And that's Callum McGregor in midfield. Matt O'Reilly and Paolo Bernardo will be the other two players in that little V shaped in midfield. Odom Owen, he's been sitting on the bench for a couple of weeks now. Will he be preferred to Paolo Bernardo? Tell me what you think. And then it comes down to the wingers. And it's a strange one because does he go with Adam Idah up front after that confidence boosting, scoring 2 goals, scoring the 2 penalties? He'll be thinking that, yeah, I can score more goals. Kyogo Furiashi has a point to prove, and Kyogo Furiashi needs to do what Liam Scales scored. Paul you, big man, hold my sake and no my boss sake, hold my sake and hold my sake, smash it, bolt your rocket, as they say back in fight. Helmet on. I thought Burnley did okay against Hibs. I watched the full game again and I'm relaxed. Yes. If Celtic score the first, they need to press for another and not let the opposition get back into the game, which they've been doing for the last 2 games. Yes. What wingers do we have for the game? Says Michael. Well, when it comes to the wingers, It is the case that we've got Lewis Palmer. Lewis Palmer could come back into the team, may I say? Could he come back into the team? We do have Dyson Maida. Dyson Maida and Lewis Palmer could be your pick of the bunch today. Let's face it, Nicholas Kuhn and Leila Bada are also there. O could be on the bench today. O could be on the bench. But I think the team will be Maida and Palmer because I don't think that Kuhn did particularly well the last game. But I think I think it'll be Maida and Palmer. But what does that say about Leila Bada? We need to talk about the elephant in the room and the situation with Leila Bada because it's something that doesn't seem to be going away. The fact that Leila Bada did just disappear off the pitch after the game, he knows he's paid to do a job. He'll go on and he'll do his best for Celtic. But there is a lot of love lost with him and the Celtic fans. But everything that Leila Bada has done, he's only 22-year-old, and Brendan Rodgers has admitted that the 22-year-old is struggling at Celtic right now. Celtic fans will feel that the form of Leila Bada has went down. His inability to pass players in the last game that he played in was quite apparent. And after struggling against the likes of Ross County and Hibs, and Aberdeen, is Leila Bada thinking, maybe I do want out of here. Maybe I want out of here. Maybe there's things going on in his personal life that's just going to be overwhelming. There's no doubt that he is supported by the fans and he does get backing by the fans and also the team. The club have supported him. But everything that Leila Bada has gone through off the pitch, I think there is something going on in the background that is affecting his form. And it wouldn't be surprised me if he was one to leave this summer. He just wants to make sure that he does his job. Brendan Rodgers wants to make sure he does his job, and we need to make sure he has as positive a mindset as possible. And let's face it, what is he going to do as a player? He's a player that's came to Europe and Celtic, and he's had big ambitions to go on to bigger and higher things in Europe and play in Europe. If he leaves Celtic and goes back to Israel and plays his football at Israel, to me, his career's done and dusted. His career's done and dusted. He's not going to do anything in his career. It's going to be a big shame. I think if he wants to get a big move to a bigger club, even in the Premiership or something, maybe Spurs will come along for him. Spurs have that kind of, but I don't think they will. Brendan Rodgers says, I speak a lot to a player. He has great support around. So, yeah, it's not easy for him at the minute. But we just keep on working with him to try and get the best performance out of him, Brendan Rodgers says. He's valued at over 10 million, seemingly, by Celtic. There was a time that Abada would have got 10. We would have got 10 million for Abada all day long. However, injuries that have curtailed, that have affected this season could have an impact on what he's actually worth. But will Leila Bada be on the bench today? I think it likely will be. I think we're going to go with Lou Palmer. And I've got to say, I think we'll go with Dyson Maida. Where does that leave Maida? I think he'll come off the bench. He'll come off the bench to try and make an impact. But can he make that kind of impact from the bench today? And a big shout out to the 15,135 subscribers. It's looking good, going up slowly but surely. But that's all we can ask for on this Celtic fan channel. Now, remember that we are coming live from Abada Celtic Supporters Club this afternoon. We'll come live before the game, so we'll talk about the team. We'll get a couple of the lads up there on the live also, and then we'll go live at half-time and full-time from the Celtic Supporters Club up there. Idah can't hit if Idah can't hit all 5 penalties, we need to win in normal time. And he's getting pressure from Israel, says Richard. I like Abada, but he needs to move on now, says Chilpel. Yeah, I think that there comes a lifespan, and with foreign players, there is a life. I mean, it's very unlikely that we're going to see the likes of a Henrik Larsson again at Celtic. A foreign player that's going to, you could even say that his Israel compatriot was at Celtic a long time. I don't think you're going to see that again at Celtic. You're not going to get foreign players there for 5-6 years. I just don't see it. I just don't see it at all. I think players will get moved on. Abada has no heart to play for Celtic, says Chilpel. Paul Baird has entered the building saying, hail, hail. 1967, Doc says, people slagging off the boy Kuhn. He needs to serious words with themselves. He's played 120 minutes and scored. Yes, but Doc, he wasn't hitting the peaks that he hit in the first game and the last game. Sometimes it's good for a manager just to bring a player in to see how he copes with it, and he freshens up the team. And it's always about freshening up the team. There's no use letting a boy come in and letting him work his way in. Work him into the team gently. Work him into the team gently. We have bought him. We do have him for 5 years. So there's no need to throw him into the deep end, as they say. And I'm sure that people at the club and players at the club will be thinking, the guy's just walked in the door, boss. How's he walking straight into the team? Come on, get a grip. That's the way that football goes. Anyway, Big Dom says the trouble is when good players have when leave, we struggle to replace them. Do we struggle? Let's be realistic. Do we struggle to replace them? I mean, we managed to replace the King of Kings at some point. It's Celtic. The way that we need to start looking at Celtic is a journey. It is a journey. It's like a journey of friggin' life. We as Celtic supporters will be here forever and ever. Not literally. I mean, in our own lifespan. Celtic fans will always be at the club and will always be there. Players will come and go, and it's like the big Ange, right, Mike? Well, I to the Australian that said it's a terrible Scottish accent. Fuck off. There's a fucking Scottish word for you. it's just a joke, by the way. But if you're going to come on and say I've got a terrible Scottish accent, fuck off, mate. And anyway, Celtic will never have an Israel player because of this nonsense. Do we really care? Right, let's talk about that. And how many Israel players have made a massive impact at Celtic? You've got to remember that big lanky one that played for us, he was never a permanent fixture in the team. He was never a permanent fixture. Players from Israel have never been, permanent fixtures in the Celtic team. So we just move on. Celtic are all about a journey. Celtic are all about a journey, and they're all about, we will be here forever. More as Celtic fans. Players won't. And that's what I'm just trying to get across. Anyway, I'll judge Kuhn after a dozen games, not 120 minutes, says Michael Ross. Kuhn is hungry, if that helps. It could be. I was thinking of Tierney as an example, says Big Dom. Must have missed your first comment. The league is priority, not the Scottish Cup. Not the Scottish Cup. Is it priority? Yes, it is priority, but when the Scottish Cup and Celtic have won the Scottish Cup more than any other team. There is that fairy tale with Celtic and the Scottish Cup, and it's a game and it's a competition that Celtic always strive to win, because there's nothing better, and I can say this as a fan that's been to many Scottish Cups finals, and at the fucking worst ground in Scotland. It is the worst ground in Scotland. But when you get to Hampden, the final game of the season, and you're getting your bus through, and you're going to the pub before it, and we used to, when I was convener, we used to book hotels and stuff, get a hotel booked, they would put some scran on, or you'd go to the pub and they were getting a scran before the game, and it was a day out. It was a fantastic day out, and people going about the romance of the cup. People going about the romance of the cup. The romance of the cup is not just for little teams, not just for like smaller teams down the leagues getting that. The romance of the cup for fans that go to games is getting to that game of the Scottish Cup final, getting to the game of the Scottish Cup final, having a cracking game, and then back to Celtic Park and the wee bit celebrations round about the streets like we've done previously. But that's when we've won trebles and everything as well. So, and then the open top bus. I never thought I would get to see the day where Celtic would have an open top bus. It was never allowed. God, I could remember back to the 90s and getting the windows of the bus smashed in after a game coming back from Ibrox. And so to think that we've moved on that far, that Celtic can actually have an open top bus from Hampden, is something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, and it's something that we've certainly never been used to. Has Scotland moved on a bit? The fact that they can? Well, let's not even get into politics in Scotland, can we? Anyway, let's get back. No team fears today, says Lorna's in the house. Good morning to you, Lorna. Nice CTR is. Wait a minute. There's a Saint. There's a. Wait, where is that? Wait till I get what's what's up. I'm just going to wind a YouTuber that is a Saint Mirren fan. Uh, it's a YouTuber with over about 50 odd thousand subscribers, and is a Saint Mirren fan. He's just messaged me, so I'm just messaging him back. And he doesn't have a football channel. Doesn't have a football channel. So anyway, it's good to speak to him. Peter King says he's no worries about today. I think we will win. Connell says, "Hey Baz, I hope you're well and happy. Good vibes from the north of Scotland." And to everyone in the chat, is Awata available? I have no idea about Awata and when he's available. I don't even think the manager was asked about him. Michael Ross says that we should win today. Graham Hardy says, if we don't win the league, Brendan Rodgers will still be here for next season unless Brendan Rodgers walks. Graham Hardy, Brendan Rodgers will still be here next season unless the board sack him. Brendan Rodgers will not walk. I don't, and that's only a personal opinion. I don't think he's got too much to prove. He does have too much to prove, and he thinks that Celtic can still do the double. He personally thinks that Celtic can still do the double. So, I'm sorry, I'm reading the comment. Yeah, I think that he thinks that we could still do the double. So, can we still do the double? Can he make this team win the double? We'll wait and see at the end of the season. We'll find out. Big Dom says we are easy to defend against under Rodgers' boring and predictable style. I wish we could see things improving, but I can't. Mike Ross says Rodgers will always play 3-4-3. 3-4-3. Richie Beck says, "Hey, well, Baz." Chubble says, "I like St. Mirren boss. He's a nice guy." It wasn't the St. Mirren boss that was, it wasn't the St. Mirren's. Oh, wait a minute. There's text as well. Lol, probably, but I hope not. Uh, I'm going to the game. If you want a shot of Celtic, I'm going to get him send me some videos of the game. He'll be in the St. Mirren. Of course, he'll be in the St. Mirren end. He's a St. Mirren fan. I'm just replying to him. He will be in the main stand. So there's going to be a famous YouTuber in the main stand. Anyway, right. Brendan Rodgers never mentions Awata because nobody ever asks him about Awata, and that does then come down to the mainstream media and the professional journalists that are Celtic fans that are there. And there's usually two or three professional journalists, YouTuber Celtic fans that are at these things, but they never, for me, ask the real, ask the questions that fans would ask. If I was to get into one of those, and I wouldn't, because Celtic would just say fucking no chance, Baz. Because you've got to adhere. There's so many things that you've got to adhere to, and you're not allowed to use your own footage. You're not. You've got to. Everything's monitored by Celtic, and I think I would go in and you would ask questions that the fans are asking. You would ask the hard questions, which never seem to get asked. 433, sorry, says Michael Ross. Don't be too deflated on here. You'll get timed out. That's his 1888 CFC. Bragging rights on Wednesday will be intolerable. Yes, the will. Let's hope we have them at the end of the season. Yes, that's all that matters. They're obviously going to win their game in hand. Let's talk about the cup first. Let's talk about the cup. We've known that this day is coming, that they've got that game in hand, and letting the two games in December. I mean, I said it before the Aberdeen game. No, it was the Hibs game. I said it before the Hibs game. There's always a game that is pivotal to us winning the league and important. And I think that result against Hibernian was massive. But also the two games in December that we lost could be the two games that lost us the league. And we'll decide that. We'll talk about that at the end of the season. But if that does happen, it will be those two particular games in December. Celtic have never lost two games in a row in December. We always, I did say before December, I've said it before, we always drop points in December. We always drop 2 points. We draw a game in December. We never lose two in a row. And I think if it comes down to it, and it comes down to the wire, we'll look back on December and we will say those are the two games that lost us the league, if that happens. But anyway, it is the Scottish Cup. It is the Scottish Cup, and we need to win that. If we lose the league, I want us to make sure as hell we win the fucking Scottish Cup. That's a certainty. Anyway, Jeff, let's face it, there's only time of winning. This is not a disaster. Brendan Rodgers has made our boys better players this time. Has Brendan Rodgers made? Yogi asked that at the beginning of the video. Has Brendan Rodgers made any of our players better? Matt O'Reilly has improved. Matt O'Reilly is now worth 25 million. He was on his way out the door under Ange Postecoglou. If Ange Postecoglou was still going to be as manager, I think that. Has he made anyone else better this season? No, probably due to injuries. Probably not just to injuries. I think the players that we thought were going to become better players haven't because of the injuries. Kieran says, good morning, Baz. Bit early in the day. Yes, there is going to be another 3 lives today. There's going to be a live before the game up at Albacete Celtic Supporters Club, the most remote Celtic bar in Spain. There will not be a Celtic bar in Spain that is as remote as this bar. It is up the hills. The Huns aren't losing anything. They will come down to our games against them, assuming we don't fuck up against them. Says Chilpal. I'm just trying to catch up some comments. The Huns are going top. They will stay there. Says 1888 CFC. We'll have all games, all cups. And Michael Ross says, I dread Rodgers football, not the result. We will win today. Jesus, Michael, you're like the devil and anyway, let's get back to some of the comments. 9 points, 21 goals shy from this point last year, says Graham Hardy, was just pointed out. Scales has got better, yes. Scales, yes. There's another player that's got better. Scales. How could we forget about the Player of the Year contender? I think Celtic's Player of the Year, and well, look back to the videos at the beginning of the season. I did say that Scales could be that player that is up there for player of the season. Usually it goes to a goal scorer. Could it be Matt O'Reilly? But I think Scales will nip it. I said at the beginning of the season, I think Scales could be that one player that people aren't expecting to be player of the year. And that would be a turn up for the books if it actually won it. Gigi says, we are very self-critical, which is fine. But when you see the other mob, they're not in great shakes. We need to refocus, and the title is ours, says Gigi. Exactly. I think that's just checking that message. Why is that phone switched off now? Anyway, right. 3 more lives, guys. Big day out, man. Looking forward to it. I had too much Guinness last night. Be gentle, says Kieran. Yes, we will be going live up at the Albacete Celtic Supporters Club before the game. We'll get the team. We'll probably be just after the team comes out because I'm not going up there too early. And then we'll go live at half time from the sport. I say supporters club. It's a Celtic bar that is in the middle of nowhere. So don't expect it to be like Paddy's Point where there's about 50 to 60 people there. You got to remember it is a remote. And when I say remote, I'm driving up past orange fields and fields of trees of oranges on one side, trees of olive trees on the other, and this goes on for miles. It's in the middle of nowhere. And when I say that, I mean that. I might do a little video of I can't because I'll be driving anyway. But believe me, it's absolutely madness. So it will the audio will just be off the phone. I'm not taking all the kit up. It will just be straight off the phone. So it shouldn't be too bad. We're missing Cameron Carter Vickers big time, says Graham. GI says, let's face it, if they can't put out the points, they point us in derbies. And Lorna's went, I'm not even predicting the scores from now on. I think we're watching from behind the couch with my eyes half closed. after the performances lately. After the performances lately. Oh, they're just such a happy person today, Lorna. And thank you, the new subscriber at 15,136. I'm predicting they'll get to 20,000 for the start of next season. Start of next season, we'll get to 20,000 unless we get some couple of big banger videos out there. Poach Chop says Scales has a decent form at the moment, but he's got plenty of flaws which most seem to miss. Yeah, he does have a bit of that, but is that because he's maybe going too far forward? Is it because he's getting dragged over to the left when Taylor isn't there? When Taylor's bombing further forward? Do you know you can pick out the fine margins of errors in players, but it's generally because he's trying to fill a position that has been left empty. Anyway, let's get back to 1888. So even if we win the next two derbies, we still won't win the league. We'll drop more than 6 points in the remaining games. Oh, he's ever so the young lad's ever so cheerful in the morning. Kieran says remote places will have the loudest tunes, man. We'll hear you singing from here. Yeah, yeah, maybe not. I'll get them to put the rebs on. No, I've been behind the couch for months. I'm not even going to ask what you were doing behind the couch. I'm going to ask. Anyway, let's get some more. Brendan Rodgers. And is Brendan Rodgers killing Kyogo Furiashi? Chris Sutton asked yesterday in his piece in the paper. Big Sutton can't get round his head round the decline of Kyogo Furiashi since Brendan Rodgers has came back, but he doesn't blame the Japanese player himself. He says there's a real chance that it may lead to a slow death of Celtic's title bid. Said Brendan Rodgers. Said Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton. But Brendan Rodgers has been speaking about the fact he needed to get quality into the team. And when you've got the highest quality striker in the country, we'll leave Kyogo out. I think that there's something going on with Kyogo. Chris Sutton says it's actually quite remarkable for him that there's not much the boy can do about it himself. Brendan Rodgers has to get his arm around Kyogo and has to make we're talking about has Brendan Rodgers made players better? Um, if he wants to get Kyogo, if he wants to get top dollar for Kyogo, he needs to get him back into form. He needs to get him back scoring goals. Will this be the type of game that Kyogo scores a hat trick? Will it be the game that he scores a double? When you look at it, we've brought in Adam Idah, who scored that 2 penalties. He never really got a sniff in front of goal, Adam Idah. I mean, it's all good saying that, yeah, he scored 2 penalties. But if Kyogo took the penalties and scored, it'd have been a different thing about what we're talking about. Is Adam Idah better than Kyogo? No, he's not. He's definitely not better than Kyogo. He's a different type of player. But when you see a guy that scored 27 goals and 31 starts last season, and he's on 8 goals and 21 for this season, says more about the team. The difference is, Chris Sutton said that he's shown for 2 seasons that he's a big game player. Kyogo's record against Rangers is phenomenal, and it is. And I think this is what you are missing out. This is, and I'm going to go back to the young lads. Where is he? 1888 CFC. You're saying that we can't do it. Kyogo, it's his haircut. Kyogo is a player that, when it comes to the likes of playing against the Rangers, the Sevco, he's a player that will turn up and score a couple of goals for us. As long as he keeps Hunskilp and says Jai, yes, as he does that. We need to play Vata more. Kyogo is not the problem. He's the solution. Kyogo is the best striker in Scotland by a mile, says Michael Ross. Yes, he is that, Michael, and I think he's a player that, when it matters, can get. And when you look at the way that Kyogo plays and the fact that teams are sitting back, it's no wonder that Kyogo isn't getting goals, because we're not getting crosses in to a player that can run off the back of defenders. When all your defenders are sitting, when the opposing defenders are all sitting on the back on the 18-yard line, it's very difficult for Kyogo to get a run at them and a run behind them. I hope that Welsh doesn't start, says Chilpel. When you look at Kyogo, I'm a woman. Are you? But there you go. Explains everything. I'm only joking. You're not a woman, are you? Well, there you go. Apologies. Yeah, we're open to everyone. No one knows the pink symbol means. What pink symbol? Oh, that little one there. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Apologies. That explains everything. I'm joking. The hand of God's just giving me a dirty look for the side. Doc1967 says our last three goal scorers are January signings. People say play Kyogo and Yang and Palmer are utterly clueless. Yogi Boy said, "Lol, don't have a winger who can beat a player." Yeah, this is true. This is true. We don't have. Well, we do, but he just wasn't as good as we expected him to be. But anyway, I was looking forward to Myla coming back, and then remember why he frustrates me. Says Chilpel. What is it? The dog's now walking in. Yes, we'll remember exactly why Kyogo is the player he is. Right. Celtic have the biggest female sport in the UK, according to merch sales. That doesn't surprise me because Celtic females will wear a lot more Celtic related clothing than guys. And Celtic males will only really wear their Celtic top on game day. You don't see. It's not like back in the 90s where the Huns would walk about in their Sevco top, the Rangers tops. Celtic fans don't walk about the streets in their basically in their Celtic tops. They'll wear them for a game day and then that's about it. Anyway, Free Palestine says, "Ooh, love a woman, fancy a date." Fuck, Jesus God, man. Seriously? Cut that crap out, mate. Cut that crap out. There's no need for that. Straight back with a no. Bitch slap live on YouTube. Big up 88 yes. See for that, I'm going to just make her an admin. I think we need to hide it up. Oh no, it's not fair because I tend long off the admin duties. Yeah, I'll sort out the admins later on. And if we want to win the league, we must get out our best players. We must get the best out of our best players: Calmac, O'Reilly, and Kyogo. Yes, this is very true. The meltdown at Ibrox will be weeks long in April. Michael Ross says, "But we have loads of Oh, Jesus, man! Come on, really, really? We went that downhill on a Sunday morning. Right. On that note, there is a lot more timber. My green Adidas today with an angry leprechaun. Love it. No. Right, that's it done for this one. I shall see you probably about maybe just under an hour before kickoff, where we will be live from Celtic supporters bar in the middle of nowhere, and it is the most bizarre thing ever, and it's probably the funniest thing that you ever see. But we'll go live there from before the game. At half time, also, we'll do a little live, and then at the final whistle, we will get a real woman with a womb. What is going on in the comment section? I've been to more games than you lot put together. It wouldn't surprise me because I used to take my daughters to the games and they had the old £50 season tickets and they went to the games for about 20 odd years. And no, about 15 years until they grew up and then became adults and wanted adult tickets. And there's no way I was paying for their adult tickets. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day. Celtic fans all around the world. And let's see if we can get this up a little bit more. Let's see if we can get to the 15,150 today, just out of all the lives. And on that note, see you in a couple of hours. Have a